Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another Ginger Runner review. It has been a couple of days, a hot second, if you will. This channel has been abuzz with the recent release of Where Dreams Go to Die. If you have not seen it already, please click up in the corner. You can go watch the entire film, enjoy it, share it. It's been years in the making. Gary Robbins was kind enough to share his story with me, and we are now sharing it with you. So please go and watch Where Dreams Go to Die. But you are also currently watching today's review. I'm giddy as a schoolgirl for this one. Today we are reviewing, all the way from Brooks, the Caldera version 2. Firstly, this shoe is dirty, and that's because I've been using it a lot. The Caldera was one of my favorite shoes from 2017. Unfortunately, I lost my pair. I think it ended up in someone's trunk, disappeared into the ether, but I no longer have my first version. Luckily, I have the second version, which has been on the market now for a while. I've been putting it through its paces, and I have some thoughts. The Brooks Caldera 2 is a neutral trail runner, positioned somewhere in the Brooks line between the Cascadia and the Mazama. It's got some midsole cushioning, decent fit, decent durability. I have a friend who uses a term, and I'm going to steal it for this shoe. The Caldera 2 is the Toyota Camry of trail running shoes. It's not great, it's not terrible, it looks plain, but it's a fine shoe that'll get the job done without a lot of flash. It also features zero down APR financing with a $1,000 deposit on signing. I hate car dealerships. Basically, it's a moderately cushioned, decently treaded trail running shoe for all of your adventures, long runs, races, or training. Version 1 over time became one of my favorite shoes from last year. I was excited to see this new version. A majority of the changes all happened in the upper. We have new mesh, new overlays, new welds, new lacing system, new tongue. It's redesigned. Does it necessarily mean a better shoe? We're going to get to that in today's review. There are things I like, there are things I dislike. It's always the case. Yes, I've been rocking them regularly, as you can tell by the dirt and smell, but mama, there's still room to improve. Alright, as with all of my reviews, I like to talk about things I like and dislike, starting, as always, with things that I like. The cushion. This midsole material, the Bio-Mogo DNA that Brooks hypes up often, is a really good balance between responsive and cushioned. I'm able to get long miles in, just did a 25-mile run in the shoe. It's also great for shorter distance because it gives you that tight, nice responsiveness needed for speed. There's no rock plate, but because of that responsiveness, the shoe also provides a decent level of protection from the ground, allowing you to run through some of the rocky, more technical surfaces without a problem. So the midsole and the cushioning, good. The outsole. So it's not one of those super aggressive outsoles with talons like an eagle, but I've been really happy with how it's held up here in the Pacific Northwest. So if the weather gets sloppy, gets rainy and muddy, it's actually done pretty well. Does well on roots, does well on rocks. Got enough lugs to give you the grip when you need it, but the outsole doesn't trip you up with too much outsole for those long distances where you're just running mile after mile after mile. Fit. Now with version 1, I had some issues with fitment. It tended to close up here along the midfoot just to get a good fit. The toe box was wide, but not wide enough. Still felt better than a majority of shoes that I've reviewed from Brooks. Version 2 hasn't really changed too much from version 1. I do get plenty of room up here in the toe box for a little bit of breathability between the toes. It's no Ultra, it's no Topo, it doesn't have a huge volume in the forefoot. It does have more volume here through the midfoot. I'm quite happy with the neutral fit of the version. It's not too tight and it's not too sloppy. Also fits true to size. So for me, fit on the Caldera 2 is getting dialed. It's not all cake and back rubs. Yes, there are things I dislike about the Caldera 2, starting with weight. It's fatter. It's a plump little nugget. Gains about a half an ounce per shoe from the previous version. I hate when a shoe gets heavier. I know a lot of you could argue that it's negligible. A half an ounce per shoe is nothing. Why don't you not eat breakfast for once? I get it, guys. The reality is when a shoe comes out with a new version, if it gains weight, there has to be a reason. There has to be a benefit. In this case, I can see where they can continue to shave weight. They opted not to. So a heavier shoe makes a not happy ginger. Heat. So I had issues with version 1 just being too hot of a shoe. It wasn't as breathable as I'd hoped, especially in Southern California where I was running a lot in that shoe. It would just get hot. Version 2 doesn't really improve on that department. I think the mesh is improved for breathability, but it doesn't breathe as much as I'd hoped. It's still a warm, hot shoe. As you can tell with how dirty this shoe is, a major contributing factor to that is my foot sweating and dirt collecting and not getting rid of it. So the shoes get wet, not always because of creeks and rivers. What I'm trying to say is my feet sweat. My feet are faucets. Details. There are things that they just did that I'm questioning. There's a pocket on the tongue to tuck the laces. Unfortunately, it's down in the laces, so there's no way to actually tuck the laces into the tongue unless you unlace the shoe, which makes no sense. The heel counter comes back into the Achilles, so if you have a sensitive Achilles area, it's very similar to the Pure Grit series, if not a bit stiffer. It could cause issues for some of you. If your Achilles is your Achilles, these could be Achilles. There's a lot of thickness to this upper. It took off some of the stitched overlays, replaced them with welded overlays, but there's a lot of welded overlays. Multiple layers of mesh, again, contributing to that heat factor. It's just kind of this polish that this shoe is missing. Taking what it is now, a Toyota Camry, to what could potentially be a Toyota Celica. Does Toyota even make that anymore? There's room to improve. But that's kind of it for dislikes at this point. I put a lot of miles in the shoe. Again, in conclusion, I like it. It's still one of my go-to trail shoes for longer, shorter distances. It's just comfortable, just kind of there. It's good. It's a Camry. So let's get into more specifics. For build quality, it's a tough and solid shoe. I think Brooks does a good job with some of their trail shoes, the Mazama, the Cascadia, of making it a durable shoe that'll appeal to as many people as possible, from beginners to experienced trail runners. I think the Caldera is the one that I would go to of those three choices. And that has a lot to do with the build quality really holding up. In addition to the comfort, I think we're dealing with a nice soft midsole that is also responsive enough to provide you with the protection. It's a good all-arounder. Fit. This could be a tight and narrow shoe for some of you. For me, it actually fits fairly neutral through the midfoot, through the toe box, enough room for my foot to twinkle. I'm not fighting this shoe by any means in the fit department. 11 is an 11 for me. It continues to be a like for me. Price. Now, the shoe is $140. That's pretty expensive for what I consider to be a Camry. I think this should be a $100 shoe. I think that could be the deciding factor for many of you if you even give it a shot. It also makes me think that Brooks has it at a price point that may not sell a lot of them, which means in a couple years, Brooks will just completely discontinue them, which will make me unhappy. Brooks tends to do things like that. The shoe's great, it's just not selling well, let's remove it. And finally, looks. I like version 1 better. I think version 2 looks like a Camry. I miss the red and baby blue outsole. I thought the looks of the first version were way better than this version. So yeah, that's pretty much that. That brings me to the final point. Is the Caldera 2 a buy, try, or a why? For me, it would be a buy, but for many of you, it will be a try. So it's gonna be a buy, try. If you have the budget, I think it's a winner for you. If you don't, at least give it a shot. Because I think it might be worth it for some of you who are looking for an all-arounder for racing, training, long, short, everything. This could be the shoe for you. With that said, if you have any more questions about the shoe, you want more info, or you want to get a pair for yourself, I have a link in the description that'll take you over to Running Warehouse where you can get that across the globe. And I want to hear from you. Have you run in the Caldera 2? Again, it's been out for a while. Many of you probably have already gone through a pair, but in the comments of this video, let me know what you think of the Brooks Caldera 2. And that, my friends, is it for today's review. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure that you like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/thegingerrunner. We got social media links for everything. If you want to support the channel, patreon.com/thegingerrunner, as little as $1 a month. Go watch Where Dreams Go to Die. Very proud of that thing. It's a project we've been working on for years. I'm finally excited to share it on the YouTube channel. Shot, edited, composed, all the music for it. Go watch it, get inspired. Gary's story is incredible, and share it. We'd be so appreciative. I think that's it for today's review. We'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, get out there, train hard, race harder, and party the hardest. I know I am. Okay, bye.